Take two, we're going to pick it up. You ever felt like somebody said something to you, and it was like somebody else was talking to you at the same time? And what they said was so disagreeable, you just agreed with them because it felt better? Because my brother-in-law, my would-be paramedic assassin brother-in-law, he failed to be my paramedic, he failed at being my assassin, and he killed me, and he failed at being my brother-in-law. He's none of those things no more. But one day, he looked at me and said, "You know, Al, I want to kill you." And my first thought was, why does Will Ferrell want me dead? And what I said was, I understand. I kind of agree with you. I want to kill me too, Rob. Now let me tell you what here, okay? This is the United States of America. Now I don't know what the shit has happened since we had President George W. Bush telling everybody that we are going to be celibate until we are married. Mr. Bush, your plan failed. They've been having sex with everyone. The women have been having, I'm sure of it. No. Okay, in America, if you ain't first, we're last. People, my word is that the women said we can win the space race or we can have big penis. And the word on the street is the women voted. They voted time and again. They have chosen big penis. Ergo, I am certain we have lost the space race. We will try again. I have plans. We will figure something out. Look at my Twitter called Elite Farming, @Elite Farming. If you're concerned that we don't have a plan to win the space race because of big penis addiction, and you look all over the internet, it is a disaster, you guys. It is an absolute embarrassment that I am stuck trying to get a decent response from my ex-girlfriend. And the word on the street that she is such a horrible person in reference to me that, while on one hand, she will talk about how she is my husband in some twisted marriage thing, I went to go and see her in Las Vegas and did not have sex with her, did not kiss her in 2008. Now, how did the Marine Corps repay me? Well, the U.S. Air Force were running her, and now the United States Marine Corps in 2008 decided to equip her with a brain scanning device to make sure that my former, I don't know what they call it in America. Johnny Cash had a strumpet. The Beatles have a famous strumpet. What was her name? Yoko. So as long as she has this device, all the women have all the power in the world, and all of the women are using it to have sex with big black cocks. And that is the war. We can hear about terrorism all you want, people. Talk to me about London, Paris, whatever. As long as women are allowed to run around being so incredibly vicious to each other and to their own bodies, when you do just basic research on the internet, just basic adult male consumption on the internet, you will find that women pay men or get paid by men to have written on them that they are owned by black people. That is too far. That is not art. I watch porno. I have no friends. So, 37, almost 38 years old, living at home with my parents, broke. Not guilty of any crimes whatsoever. Ever. Never been convicted legally. All right, man, I'm going to take a big ripper and we're going to figure out what we're going to talk about. Yeah, I had a cigarette in the last one. My energy was so fucking low after that. Yeah. The funny thing is, man, it's one of those yin and yang things where I'm smoking on the one where I'm talking about all the positivity. And you'd think that'd be switched. I mean, you got to understand how deep this goes. I'm Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great informed me that I am Alexander the Great. It's that complicated. And that ultimately I am the engineer for God. What I mean by that is Lisa Ann, popular porn star, is actually not God's creation. She is bequeathed from Alexander the Great, his technology that he originally developed, right? I'm Alexander the Great. Okay, to one degree or another, my blood has always existed in a singular form and part of my brain tissue in a singular form on planet Earth. Okay, but I innovated from a very ground floor situation outside of this galaxy that still is able to impact my protection within this galaxy. The reason that they haven't been able to kill me is because I have 16,000 megatons of gold in a different galaxy that manipulates the time-space continuum so that I am unable to be murdered. And because of that, I've been informed, and I could be wrong on some of this, that I own 7 women. They're mine. It's not so much is that I own them as slaves, but I own them as intellectual property. And I've been trying to unravel this, and when I say that Alexander informed me, I mean, I walked around my yard this morning feeling like there was a French tickler jammed up my Johnny Hind parts, desperately informing me of these facts. This is what we deal with. Barry Swenson, builder. Great local builder. You have to do business with local people that know the trades and know how to profit without there being some union, heavy concrete, underground, heavy metal, long-term lease, net tonnage, input, output, McDonald's scenario. People will sit here and say I'm a blowhard. Okay, very few people have gotten into the McDonald's conference room. I didn't get to the McDonald's conference room. I got to the conference room of the people that represent McDonald's, with McDonald's in the room, as I plan to build 300 South 2nd. But I did not know a few key words. If I had known these words, I would not be sitting here today. I would have built my building, my inspirational idea. Heller Manis Architects designed the concept. I wanted something that twisted to the top. I wanted a high-end hotel, and I wanted student housing that would still integrate properly with ingress and egress for the hotel on one side and student housing on the anyways, there's still a McDonald's in there. But what I didn't know how to explain to McDonald's is that I would sign the net tonnage long-term lease agreement. It's what they were looking for. And if I had that verbiage in my proposal or responded to it appropriately as a land lease holder, I would have been able to further my position with them. But instead I jettisoned it in what I felt was a really exciting small business versus the big business battle that was obviously not going to work out. They wanted me to pay $500,000 up front to hire their attorneys. And then the deal got worse. And I still consult for them for free, probably as a slave to this day. So you have to commit to your brands. Disney has gone way off the radar and then been able to come way back onto the radar. But some of their CinemaScope work with the green screen technology is, I haven't been able to check in on it lately. I don't know where the product is at currently, but I know that as I look at their last 15 years of product, there's just a lot of highs and then some low points involving their production value. that I think has affected us negatively. CinemaScope is where you go from, you have a green screen, right? And then you have actors acting. Well, CinemaScope is when you have a mathematical algorithm capturing every angle of that particular scene and how they acted, and going from 45 seconds of footage to going to 2.5 minutes of footage, or 7.5 minutes of footage to an hour and a half film. That's what CinemaScope is. And because of the lifestyle contracts that often come with the CinemaScope agreements, they're going to be coming under a lot of fire soon, because it all leads back to this sexual warfare. And ultimately what I'm trying to do is, the only thing that makes sense to me as a warlord, I mean, he's an absolute gangster, warlord, king, Alexander the Great. The only thing that makes sense to me is gaining a status of conservatorship, or conservatorship. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to gain conservatorship over all farming and bioengineering and medical engineering equipment on planet Earth, because I do not believe that women are respecting their reproductive parts. And I look at this from a very educated standpoint. So when you understand what is going to have to happen from prostitution having taken over certain aspects of our macroeconomy, we have switched what's providing us accounting systems. Really wealthy people have no ability to travel because I'm getting off on a tangent. I don't want to go further. We're going from standard accounting principles called GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, to what my bloodline and I have decided to call Federal Footprint Accounting and Analysis, FFPAA, Federal Footprint Accounting and Analysis. And that is going to be really assessing at a federal level what a corporation's footprint is for selling 1 million cell phones. And it's also going to look at the footprint of a corporation for producing 1 million cell phones, but only selling 11,000 cell phones, and then deciding to build another million cell phones and only selling 30,000 cell phones. So those types of assessments are going to come with what we will know as fees, federal economic events. This is how I'm restructuring the government on our way back to a balanced and fair democracy. And the reality is we lost our democracy to terrorism. And I can't get into more specifics than that. Just so the viewers, because some people might not get to consume my Twitter content, but get to consume this. My positions, as steadily as I can run through them. My name is Alexander William Erickson. I hold 2 social security numbers, one of which is the key to my federal identity, which is the first planet Earth employee of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, aka the international head of the Central Intelligence Agency, A.W.E. As long as I have my initials and my thumbprint, those I possess no matter what. I have my national security agency that is not earthbound. And I have to figure out how to secure that from my enemies, which operate a on-ground national security agency. I spy for the Department of Homeland Security in any way that I am able, because I develop systems analysis for them to set up parameters and expectations for traveler altercations and communications, as outside of the security line when they interact. I mostly work on, once they're inside of the terminal and what happens when contraband is exposed. Which is why I also work for the FAA, although that all of my analysis for the FAA and Department of Homeland Security is secured through a background channel until We deal with the legality of drones. Our FAA and DHS cannot be relied upon as certain qualified federal agencies. The FAA and Department of Homeland Security both agreed that there was a need to make some decisions about radio-controlled drones due to the critical mass impact of the market, the number of units that they've sold, and that no regulation has come down yet. And so therefore, in my position, we're dealing with corruption at very, very high level. I am the CEO, which means I'm the Chief Engineer of Operations at International Business Machines and Hewlett-Packard. I have decided to quit working for both of those engines and dedicate my resources to building up my own toolkit, which I am going to be relying upon federal armed forces from the U.S. Army. And just when I say federal armed forces, that sounds like something the Nazis would have. So it kind of concerns me in terms of my branding. But I asked for a federal army, so we'll figure out how that gets there. But in order to do that, I have to have all of my plans for my astro engineering company, A.W.E 23 International, and plans for my cooperation called BASC. BASC, B-A-C, Biology, Anthropology, Sociology Cooperation. Let me reread that, or restate that. BASC, Biology, Anthropology, Sociology Cooperation. And so a lot of the assets that Hewlett and Packard presently control will be taken over by my cooperation, and assets that IBM control will be taken over by A.W.E 23 International. And then Intertech LLC will be my New Jersey small business, which will develop multiple companies with DBA through a DBA system and what we call a firm system. A DBA is a company of mine that I would be willing to sell or go partners on, and when I say firm, it's a business plan or an idea that there is no partnerships or asset structuring available. There's only employment, which we might consider 1099 employment, but not partnership basis. And that's what I'm going to do because of how severe the pornographic apartheid impacted International Business Machines and Hewlett-Packard. And you have to understand, these companies don't do business on the top floor like McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's does business on the top floor. They might bring something up from the parking garage. Okay, they might bring up 10 pounds a day from the parking garage. Okay, but we're talking about moving hundreds of people, thousands of people underground. And these people have chosen wartime scenario positions. And I must assemble an army and train them to incur these positions that are 5 floors underground, 10 floors underground, 100 floors underground, and going all the way into the absolute pit of hell, which, as I experienced, is a remaindered heavy manufacturing seed production system. So if you've ever seen a seed the size of a John Deere tractor, it was this seed farm that produced it. And because of various reasons, I've been told we turn that into hell. And I get to go down there, and that will be one of my final inspections of having cleared all of the leaders in this hate crime syndicate that saw NASA winning the race for the outer space race, and whether or not we were invaded by aliens or it was Russians that decided to force us to lose the space race by developing inner Earth products that interrupted the farming food to table operation that my trust fund has been providing this planet and purportedly other planets from our seed production facility that's been shut down because of this war. So things are going to get worse. And when things get worse and start to run better, those in my gangs will be paid in cash, in ones and fives and hundreds. When things are starting to get better, the United States starting wage at day 91 of perfect employment at Walmart will be $20 per hour. An International Gaming Cart Corporation will be launching its back wall of video games with a giant sign that says quarters. You'll walk into Walmart and you'll see a giant sign at the back of Walmart and it'll say quarters, and everyone will know that we are off to a new start and a new realistic living minimum wage that will be mandated for all employees past 90 days with quality, unscathed employment records. My name is Alexander W Erickson. I am contending for world domination and control as king of the United States of America. And from that position, I will hire either Senator Elizabeth Warren or somebody that would replace her as an academic that could train us into democracy, living in a new White House, possibly in Minnesota, for 8 years, where we would only be able to provide quarterly updates on her progress, on how we would actually reignite democracy with a stable and balanced system, and start that at the baseline of making sure that every American has good turkey in their pots, good turkey in their pans, and good potatoes in their pots. Good turkeys in their ovens and good potatoes in their pots. Have a good business day.